All right, guys, now we are over in another part of Wētā. We are at their game studio, and we're gonna try to find out a little bit, maybe a little bit about the upcoming Tales of the Shire game that I'm sure many of you gamers out there are very excited about. Nikki here has agreed to show us around, give us a little behind the scenes glimpse. Nikki, thanks so much for taking us on a tour today.
Thank you for coming around, guys. We're happy to have you.
All right, let's go.
Welcome to the game studio.
We've got Thor in here. He's got a very mighty weapon in his hands, as we can see. We've got Gandalf and a stormtrooper. This is awesome.
Tales of the Shire is our first official publicly released accessible video game that we're very excited to bring to the public coming later this year.
Yeah, I think you piqued a lot of people's interest with the teaser, and if I understand correctly, you guys built all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was all built in-house from the book and the desk itself. All of the art was made by people in the game studio.
Yeah.
All of the set deck was made by people both here and in the workshop down the street. So it was all very internal, and we're very fortunate to be able to work with our counterparts that work with physical projects rather than the digital stuff that we do here. So it's a really fun collaboration to work on stuff like that.
All right, guys. Well, we are here in the heart of the Tales of the Shire creative space, and there's all kinds of stuff on the other side of this camera that we cannot show you. But what I can show you is Steve Lambert. Thank you so much for joining us. And what can you tell us about your experience moving to Tales of the Shire? You've been at Wētā for a long time, and now you're here working on the video game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a real fun trip. We've kind of been given a privilege to kind of revisit this whole world again, and I don't know, bring some other thoughts to it and other approaches to it has been really nice. We've been kind of rethinking it more from how I felt reading The Hobbit as a child rather than how I've experienced as an adult. So yeah, bringing back some old memories. So.
Now you are obviously heading up the art department here with the game.
Yeah.
What can you tell us? Obviously there's certain things we can't quite talk about quite yet with the game. But what can you tell us as far as what players can expect from Tales of the Shire?
I think a much more kind of childlike and storybook approach. Again, like I say, thinking about the world from a more softer approach, and maybe again that when The Hobbit was written for children, and it's a much kind of more naive look at the world. So I think there's that kind of darkness off on the horizon, but it's still not as dingy and gritty as where we go with Rings and the films. So trying to soften that approach and have a more kind of friendly look at the Shire. So
yeah. From what I've seen, the bits and pieces that have been released online, and even the design of the logo, it kind of has, I don't know, I guess a whimsical,
definitely,
more whimsical,
much
feel
more
to
whimsical,
it.
Softer feel.
Yeah. Now. You're also showing us back at your desk. You had the prop book that was used in the teaser, which is really cool. It's a beautiful, beautiful leather-bound book, and you're telling us a bit about, the behind the scenes of making that flip to the right page. So tell us a bit about that process.
Yeah, well, we wanted to obviously flip this book, but we wanted to very specifically land on certain pages. So one of our prop masters, Chris, rigged up this amazing contraption with all these kind of fishing lines and wires that meant that when we had a wind blower kind of going through the pages and flipping it over, it would be able to stop on the exact pages we wanted. And so every time we had a cut or a reset, you had to go down and rethread every single one of those fishing lines. When we finally got, I think it was the last take before we wrapped for the day, that we finally got them landing on the right pages perfectly and for the right amount of time. So it was good.
Now your history here at Wētā, obviously was with the more practical effect stuff, video games, pretty different realm
Very different,
that you're in now. So how do those two methods of storytelling and creating compare?
It's been quite a challenge kind of getting my head from one to another. And we did some games before with the Shire, but it's kind of trying to think of that non-linear approach and the way that a player experiences the world and comes to it from the way that they can move where you don't expect them to move. The kind of there's a certain amount of controls and kind of limits that you can put on it. Having the player be able to do and go anywhere is quite different for me. So you've got to try and let go a little bit of that control and give it back to the player, which is it's an interesting experience.
What are you most looking forward to? Seeing the reaction of fans who pick up the game.
The one I think is that knowing what people have been asking for and knowing what we're kind of delivering and I guess hearing the, oh my God, I get to do this, or I get to live as this, and I think the people we've been hearing, I think will be pleasantly surprised.
All right, guys, next up, we've got Mark Barrett here from Tales of the Shire. Mark, what is it that you do on the video game?
I head up the programming team, so I get to represent the excellent work that my team does outside of the various external parties.
Very cool. So when one of the QA guys that we met earlier, when they have issues, you're the one that they forward those to and say, hey, fix this?
Yeah, and mostly I say, no, we're not going to do that right now. Right now we're in our special feature time. We're just going to break stuff. But then every so often I'll say, yes, okay, fine. It's time to harden up this build and to make it better. And then we have conversations with QA. But no, Lord of the Rings has been a great. Yeah, such a positive thing through my life. So it's wonderful to be able to contribute to this. Yeah.
With Tales of the Shire, I asked this earlier around the office here a little bit. What are you most looking forward to gamers experiencing?
I am so excited for people just to see what the thing looks like. It is extraordinarily pretty, and it is that's been such a strength of the game through its entire duration, has been how gorgeous the visuals are. And it's going to, I think, really wow people with the choices that Steve's made and the way that that's been implemented by the entire art team. Just so many immense talents that we work with, and the game's going to be gorgeous to play.
This is not a spoiler for Tales of the Shire. Don't freak out, folks. We're just goofing off and having fun. All right, next up, we've got Calliope Ryder. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's just dive right into it. So what is your role here at Tales of the Shire?
I'm the lead producer on Tales of the Shire. So I run the small but growing team of producers here who are making the game come to life.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of activity here today. It looks like you guys are hard at work. We were talking a little bit earlier about that 2024 release date, and now that is the date on the calendar.
Yep. It's vague for the world, but it's very real for us.
Yes.
it's seared into all of our retinas, I think. But we're really excited. It's been quietly in the background for a long time, so it's going to be really great to be able to finally show people what we've been working on.
Yeah. Now we were talking earlier about one of the descriptors of this game that I think a lot of fans have focused on is the word cozy.
Yes.
So what can you tell us about, the experience of making a Middle Earth cozy video game?
Yeah. It's kind of a dream come true. So I grew up in New Zealand. So Wētā Workshop has always been like the creative goal, right?
Yeah.
Like as a kid growing up being creative and thinking I was going to work in film or art or do something along those lines. And then on top of that, I'm a cozy gamer. I love cozy games. I think that the world really needs more of the tend to befriend mechanics that we often find in cozy games. The world needs more of the softness, the slow pace, the sort of like checking the boxes. And so for us to be able to do the first like real shot at like a cozy game, players haven't seen Middle Earth in this way before.
Yeah.
And I'm just so delighted that like we get to do it here in New Zealand at Wētā Workshop and give them something new and fresh.
Well, it seems kind of fitting, Middle Earth is such a good retreat for everyone. It's a lot of us, I think, it's our cozy place to go when we need some comfort. So to now have literally a cozy Middle Earth game seems right.
Yeah, I think that like obviously it's a huge fandom, right? So everyone's got specific areas that for them really strike home. But you know, for me, things about like Tom Bombadil or the Shire in general, they always felt like, I guess, like an idyllic version of where I'd like to go on holiday. You know, like an idyllic vacation is just like to be in the Shire, because you've got all the nice things. You've got your silks and you've got all your like little fancy things that don't seem to be anywhere else in Middle Earth. Yeah. But you also have that rustic feeling, and you're mostly peaceful. It just seems like an ideal place to hang out.
Seems nice. I'm sure there's a lot of folks, myself included, looking forward to a nice vacation in a cozy Shire setting.
This is the secret stuff that I've hidden very inconspicuously this morning.
This is secret stuff behind these walls.
So yeah, coming through.
Don't film those. Don't film.
You can't now.
So don't film them.
Point a camera at it. Do you know how hard it was to set this up by myself this morning?
So this Balrog isn't sneaking out. This isn't like a spoiler for the game where Balrogs are going to come wreak havoc on the Shire.
No, that Balrog is Darren's, our lead narrative writer, who happens to be sitting right here.
Hi, Darren. Next up, we've got a special treat here, Darren Ormandy. Darren, tell us about your unique experience in Middle Earth. You've got quite a number of years of experience in Middle Earth, actually.
Yeah. I'm very lucky. I discovered Tolkien when I was in my teens. I lived in the west of England. It's kind of like Middle Earth anyway. There was like valleys and rivers and streams and moors with standing stones on and everything else like that. But I never thought it would play such a big role in my life. So, I mean, I used to be an actor, and when I was an actor, I played Thorin in a big tour of The Hobbit that went around the UK, which was an absolute rush. And it was just when the films came out. It was between Fellowship and Two Towers.
Okay.
So we were just selling, like we were going to these huge theatres, absolutely selling out. People were crazy for it, So that was a real privilege. And then later on, I went and did a postgrad as a mature student, and I was lucky enough to get into Oxford. So I did my master's, and then they invited me to teach. And because I had like lots of Shakespeare experience as an actor, that kind of got me into teaching Shakespeare courses. And then more recently, I had the opportunity to teach in Merton College, which, as you very well know, is the college most associated with Tolkien. Yeah. I said, do you want to teach a Shakespeare course in our college? I kind of thought, yes, but can I also offer? And they went for it, And they said, yeah, sure.
So you taught a Tolkien class there as well?
Taught Tolkien in Merton. Wow. In fact, the very last session I did was on this place called the Tolkien Table, which is just in Merton where the old city wall is, and there's it's almost like a turret, like a turret thing, top of a turret, and there's a wooden table with bench all around it, and Tolkien used to sit there. There's lots of photographs of him there. So I was doing the first stage, so I was teaching Beren and Luthien with all the students just sitting around on the place where it was done. It was amazing.
That's wild. Yeah.
It really was
powerful. It's got to be pretty surreal, yeah.
Well, I mean, it was incredible, and it's an incredible, privilege. I mean, imposter syndrome kind of overwhelms you with something like that. And you just see the impact that Tolkien has on people's lives, and especially for me, when I look at people 20, 30 years younger than me, the way things have changed within my lifetime with that. And I really honestly think that it's going to be better. It's going to increase, my sense of that, just how younger people are responding, within my own family. One of my daughters in particular is a massive fan. And just seeing how that's part of their childhood as well with everything. So it's really inspiring, and exciting. And we hope that what we're doing now with the game is a part of that. It's just a part of that way that we've been allowed to express Tolkien's work and his vision. And when I've been working on this game, I mean, that wonderful statement that Tolkien made about other minds and hands coming in and working on it, and you think, well, I doubt Tolkien could have ever dreamed of what we do for a living, creating video games. I mean, well beyond his experience, but just the sense of world building and being able to flesh out those blank spaces that he refers to is, you just think, what an incredible privilege. I mean, to be able to do that. And from my point of view, as a writer, to be, and sort of sit between two stools really, because I sometimes joke that I'm a sort of Smeagol Gollum in this game, because on the one hand, I'm the writer, so I want to, like, give everything we possibly can and, get everything we can. But I'm also coming here to, make sure the law is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sort of having these arguments going, well, we could do this. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Well, could I maybe do away with it? No, you can't. And I have these sort of conversations in my own head almost, where I try and find a way to go utterly honor the law and utterly honor what Tolkien wrote. And then also marry that against, like, but what do I want to do? If I'm picking up a game and I'm playing a game set in the Shire, then what do I want to do? I want to explore my Hobbit hole. I want to. I'm not quite sure what I can say now. I'm giving stuff away, but there's a lot of.
You're gonna get yanked off the stage with
Exactly.
a giant cane.
This is Wētā Workshop. This is an ejector seat. The roof opens up and fireplace swallows me, and those come to life.
So you're kind of among the staff here. You're not only the guy who says actually, you have to do it to yourself as well.
I do it to myself harder than anybody, actually, because I don't argue with myself much, Whereas, but I am exactly that person, But I'm glad I am, because that's lovely. Because you can have, and I mean, the guys are great. I mean, I think you met Steve Lambert, our art director, and he's just always so open to what I'm talking about, And Steve's got his own sort of visions and everything, and it's so good what he's doing, what he's leading his art team doing. That the last thing I want to do is stand in the way of that. So we just sort of go, okay, well, look, this is the situation. And, there's a difference, I think, between sort of compromise and not following the law, And I think anybody that has really got a deep, deep level of knowledge of the Shire or of things would sort of go, well, actually, would sort of go, yeah. And you sort of go, well, yeah, actually, you're right, But it's been very carefully considered. And what we're doing is marrying up what I would want and what other people would want as their experience of walking into Middle Earth or walking into this corner of Middle Earth that we've so carefully created. And sort of in some ways, like giving people the dream, really. Like, what would you do if you found yourself in that corner of the Shire, Well, I'd love to do this and I want to do that and I want to find these and I want to do this, and that's what we want as well. So.
Well, that probably mostly answers my next question. I've kind of been asking everybody, what are you most looking forward to fans experiencing or reacting to, without giving anything away?
Yeah. Well, I mean, from a personal point of view, the writing in the sense of how we've developed the characters, and as I said, a few of the characters are canonical. But most of them are characters that we've created to fit into the world that we feel are very true to the world, but we've also want to expand the world because we want to be the other hands and minds, But just generally, I'm just looking forward to people being able to, like I would love to be. I'm really looking forward to the reaction videos, especially those, obviously looking forward to yours, but, but looking forward to those reaction videos because, just the discovery of it, and you just go, this is something I'm so incredibly proud to say I'm a part of. And I think that people do love this environment and love this world are going to have so much to explore and discover. And I think that's wonderful. So, but what I'm really hoping is that it's a game that brings a lot of joy, And I'm kind of slightly coding my language there because I don't want to give away too much about how it's actually put together. But if it makes people smile and makes people laugh and it brings joy, because I think that's what the Shire is, It is that. But then within that as well, I've also been able to work in some moments where it just is a little bit transcendent because it is Middle Earth. There is a world, the stars up there are the same stars as in our world, but they're also the same stars in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and they mean something. And just occasionally within character, that kind of meaning or sense of that meaning can kind of come across. So there are a few sort of grace notes of just where you kind of go. And so far, it seems to have landed really well. But, I won't really know until the game's launched. And then see if I got it right.
And speaking of the game, it'll launch later in 2024. We don't have a date quite yet, but I will definitely be letting you guys know here on the channel. Whenever that is announced, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on all the socials for Tales of the Shire. Darren, thanks so much for joining me today.
Oh, well, what a pleasure. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been great.